My name is Christopher Baker and I'm chairman of Bristol Memorial Woodlands, which is a woodland cemetery near Thornbury just outside Bristol. We started in 2001 after spending 5 years getting planning permission for the whole project. The purpose behind the woodlands is to give families somewhere that is private and unhurried to have a funeral service of their choice. The whole project came from my experiences at the local crematoria, where every 20 minutes there's another funeral, which gives very little time for a family to be able to tailor the service to their requirements. Our job is to help families to organise things as they would like. It's not to tell them what to do or to try and process it for our convenience. It's for them to have a clean slate where they say goodbye on their own terms, in their own time, in their own way.
Do you want to take a seat?
Thank you.
When someone's contacted us and they want to come and have a look around and get a feel for what we do here, because it is a little different, we arrange to meet, and then what we'll do is we'll sit down with a family, we'll talk about the questions they have. So we introduce the premise, the idea of time, space and privacy, the fact that we only hold one service a day. The first thing is obviously you need to get to know the Memorial Woodlands a little bit better. I can introduce the space to you, I can show you around the chapel and the reception rooms, we can have a look around the grounds. One of the important things is that with a funeral, sometimes families feel they need to be busy, they need to be active, and they kind of can rush at arranging things. And what we always kind of suggest to a family at the beginning is that they may be taking an extra day or two in making the arrangements can actually make a lot of difference to how the day unfolds, because they need to come to terms with what they can do, understand their options, and then work out what they want to do. And if they rush into things very quickly, sometimes they're making decisions without actually realising exactly what they're doing. And they're putting themselves under undue pressure. So we generally suggest an extra day or two to make arrangements, and then whatever we agree on that day, is flexible. We may book a time and say, well, we'll do this in 8 days time, 10 days time, and we'll book a slot, because families like to have the security knowing that they can start thinking around a given date. But that's all flexible. And then we would generally meet a family again and then get into more detail. Saying that, some families know what they want, and we work with them, but some families are a little less sure. And really, we have to just work with the family on their terms.
What kind of trees do we got? We've got here, you said apple and pear.
Yeah, it's a mixture of apple and pear. I've met families and they've come in and I can see they've been up all night. I give them a cup of tea and a biscuit and we're chatting, and they agree that the overall premise is what they want to do. But then I suggest to them, well, I think you might want to go home now, you may want to just go and get some sleep, you may want to just go and get some rest and come back tomorrow. And more often than not, I've been right. They've actually said, yeah, we're absolutely shattered, our heads are swimming, and as a funeral director or someone who's trying to help them arrange this day, it's to make sure that we put them in a place where they can get the best out of it. And that means they need to be informed, and they need to be in a position to make decisions that they're happy with. When Christopher kind of came up with this realisation that we need more time to say goodbye, he then took the space he had here and it was modified, converted, renovated to support one funeral a day. So we have a chapel and reception rooms within its own landscape gardens that the family use once a day, and that was born out of experience, so just allowing people to have time, space and privacy. The typical day then here starts with the family arriving at the Memorial Woodlands maybe early morning, maybe late morning. There's tea and coffee for them and their guests when they arrive. They go into the reception rooms. They may well have put out photo albums of déjà, bits and pieces in memory of that person. Typically the coffin is already in our chapel and in state. And that's actually a really important point for families. If you've got people coming from different parts of the country, possibly internationally, and they haven't had any private time with this person who they come to pay their respects for, walking into a chapel as the service begins, can be a little bit of an emotional shock, but it's a group thing as opposed to a personal thing. So by having the coffin in state, it enables family members, friends to go and spend some private time in the chapel prior to the service starting. Nearer the time when the service is going to start, typically midday, 1 o'clock, we will gather up the family and the guests, and then we'll make our way across into the chapel, and at that point the celebrant will pretty much takes over proceedings and the service unfolds. Whether it be secular or religious, orthodox or a variation therein, the chapel itself supports any type of service. Once that has completed, then we re-engage as the funeral directing side. The coffin is carried out either by ourselves or by family members, is placed in an awaiting vehicle, be it a horse and cart, motorcycle side cart, a classic hearse, a modern hearse, and then it is taken on up into the grounds if it's a service for burial, and the burial takes place. And then once that is completed, then the guests and family retire back to the reception rooms for catering, for drinks, to further the celebration of the person they're remembering.